Welcome back to the latest edition of the Omni Talk Fast Five. It is June 26, 2020. We're taping this at a different time than usual. It's late at night on a Thursday. I'm here as always with Ann Mazinga.
Hello.
And Emma the intern.
Hi, everyone.
Emma, you're still live from Michigan and the cabin, right?
Yes.
And you're back in Minneapolis. We've got the famous, what picture is now famous of, what is that, the New York skyline in the background that everyone has grown so accustomed to?
I suppose so. I kind of like this Thursday night. This used to be the night in college where you went out, you know? Emma, do people still go out in college on Thursday night? Thirsty Thursdays.
Thursday, of course.
That's
Thursday.
right. I
Not
love
right
it.
now.
Or in some states.
Or in
they're
some
still
states they do.
definitely doing Thirsty Thursday. Let me tell you.
That's true. I have huge COVID news, actually, you guys. Huge.
God.
I am officially getting a dog.
No.
Yep. I
Say
broke
it ain't
down.
so.
I broke down. The Mrs. Omni Talk came to me. I was working, writing. I was writing an article, and she comes in. She's like, I think we need a dog. You know, I'm not working. I got all the time to train it. It's summer. It's not, the winter in Minneapolis. Like, it's dog time. And she was ready to go. She had this thing, and I was just like, no, you know what? You're good. Let's do this. Let's get a dog. You can get a dog.
It was that simple.
It was that straightforward. You can ask her.
Oh my God.
It was that simple.
You've grown soft during this quarantine.
Well, you break down after years of someone asking you incessantly over and over. It's just the way it works. Emma, you're a dog lover, right?
I am.
And what kind of dog do you have?
I have a rat terrier chihuahua, and then I just told Ann I just got a husky as well.
You got another dog?
I know, yeah.
Man, gosh, you are.
Chris, this is just a peek into
Canine
the
squared.
future. Before you know it, you're going to have this dog and another dog and maybe a third. If this quarantine goes until 2021 or 2022, who knows?
Yeah, I already have a 5 and 7-year-old boy at home too. So it's just a madhouse already. So I don't know how we're going to survive, but Mrs. Omni Talk, hey, got to keep her happy. Got to keep her happy.
What are you getting? You didn't even tell the audience.
I think we're getting something called, and I'm sure the listeners are
you
like, please just
definitely
get to the
know what
headlines
you're
at this
getting.
point.
Yes.
We're getting a Bernie doodle, whatever the hell that means. I don't know.
Bernie Sanders and a poodle.
Yeah, and here's the thing. We might actually name it Macy because, and this is legitimate, we actually literally might name it. That name is in the running. But if you heard the news today, Macy's actually announced some huge layoffs. You guys see this story? Rachel Sheckman of Story is now gone, according to Fortune, and the fabulous Phil Waba, which is a great alliterative name to say. Wow, huge news on that one. Late breaking. What do you guys think?
I mean, not really surprising. I think I texted you guys. The quote was like, we are significantly downsizing our staff for the foreseeable future. Like, oh yeah, no shock there. I mean, it makes sense. It's unfortunate. You feel for all the families of those employees that are now going to be without a job. But I think this is just the beginning of what will be many, many department store downsizing and closures that we're going to see over the course of the next 6 months, to be honest.
Yeah, it's just something bound to happen. Emma, we haven't talked much from your perspective on Macy's. Like, what is your take on Macy's? Having worked in the malls and frequented those establishments quite often, or been near a Macy's quite often. What is your take here?
I mean, I can't stand shopping at Macy's. There's just too much stuff. I'm not really a department store person.
Yeah.
However, in all the stores that I've worked in, when
You're not
people
the only
come in
one.
when people come in and ask for things that we don't have, I always just send them to Macy's.
Right. Maybe
It's always like, they might have it,
Yeah, and I've told this story on the podcast before. I thought that was true too, and then I was like, I went in there. This was last March, I think, a year ago, and I was like, "Do you have any St. Patrick's Day clothing for kids?" And they're like, "What's St. Patrick's Day?" So that gives you a sense.
No, they didn't.
I swear to God, on my life, that's a true story. So it shows you
Wow.
just how far the Macy's,
Okay.
I think, brand has fallen. But I think there's an interesting thing about this story, just to put a cap on it, is I put out all the pieces on social media that I've written about Macy's over the last year. I think it's like 5 or 6 pieces.
Yeah,
You could
that was
see
good.
this coming. The writing was on the wall. And I think my new thing is, like, as much as you want to blame coronavirus for this, while coronavirus is an issue, it is definitely not the story. Pun intended, if you follow us.
But
close.
bum.
All right, let's get to the news, the headlines. There's a lot of great headlines this week. A lot of cool, like, here's what's coming next type of headlines. And not from the usual cast of characters either. We've got 7-Eleven. We got some voice peppered in there. We've got online outlet shopping from a company some of you probably have never heard of, TJX. Snapchat hits our radar screen this week. I don't know, Ann, have we ever done a Snapchat story before?
For sure. We definitely have done Snap like tons of times. You start having like short-term memory loss because you're so focused on your new dog.
I feel like Snap is like so 2017 though. But anyway, we've got Instagram, and it's just showing you, I think, where the future of retail is headed. I think that's the key theme this week, and that the future is not going to be the normal cast of characters. And just week to week, we're probably not going to feature the normal cast of characters because things are changing so significantly. All right, let's give a shout out to our sponsor. Our sponsor is, of course, Takeoff. Takeoff is transforming grocery by empowering grocers to thrive online. The key is micro-fulfillment, small robotic fulfillment centers that can be leveraged at hyper-local scale. Takeoff also offers a robust software suite so grocers can seamlessly integrate the robotic solution into their existing businesses. If interested and you want to learn more, visit takeoff.com. All right, should we get started here?
Let's do it.
All right, I think I have story number one. All right, I'm leading us off today. I don't usually do that, but all right. 7-Eleven made the announcement this week that they plan to pilot Siri Voice for contactless fuel payments at select stores in Florida, Texas, and Virginia. Customers can use the 7 Reward loyalty app on their phones and use Siri as well to pay for their gas. Customers who use this application by way of their mobile phones will save 11 cents a gallon on their first 7 fill-ups at the pump at 7-Eleven, and then 3 cents for every fill-up thereafter. They hope to fuel loyalty. In order to fuel loyalty discounts, they have to visit any of these participating locations and, of course, verify their phone number in the app. But it's that simple. It's touchless. You pull up and you pay with your voice. What do you think?
I mean, it's not entirely touchless. You still have to put the pump into your car, right? Like, I'm not missing that part of it.
No,
so
I don't think you're missing that part of it.
Going to full service, it's not completely contactless, but I do love it. I mean, this comes off the heels of Amazon and Exxon's announcement where, you know, in the next several years, they're going to make Alexa car voice, whatever it's called, pay.
Yeah, right.
Pay in all the Exxon mobile gas stations across the country. But what I love about this one with 7-Eleven, did you guys know that Apple's not participating in this? 7-Eleven is just going straight up gangster, and they're just like, yeah, we're gonna dig into it. Siri Voice, we'll put that into action. It's using the Shortcuts app on the phone, so you just
see what happens, right?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have used Shortcuts yet either, but that's pretty slick. I didn't even realize that was a thing, but it's as simple as saying, Siri, pay for my gas, and next thing you know, it's going to, you know, have you completely paid for. You tell them how much money you want to put into your tank, and you drive away and go. So I love it. Kudos to 7-Eleven. You guys I just love them. They're smart.
7-Eleven might be 7-Eleven definitely shortlist of most innovative retailer.
Yeah, who wants to wait 2 weeks for Apple's permission to be doing something? Like, you guys just go figure it out. You submit it. Way to go. So I think it's cool.
Emma, would you have liked this on your road trip from Minneapolis to Michigan?
Oh, I was just going to say, going from New York to Minneapolis to Grand Forks to Michigan to all over the place, the number of gas pumps and buttons that I've touched is just nauseating. And if I all of these drives, I've been like, why can I not pay with Apple Pay? Like, I know I still have to pull the pump, but why do I have to touch the buttons? They're grimy. Like, it can't be that hard to figure out.
The other part of this I love too, which actually I'm surprised, Ann, you didn't mention this, being native to Minnesota. It's freaking cold. Like, the less time I can spend outside of my car, the better. Like, I'm with Emma. Like, why can't I use Apple Pay? You can use it almost anywhere. And like, this totally helps me with that. Yeah, you still got to touch the pump too, but I think there's a lot of offshoots for this. I talked about this at NACS too. I think when you look at voice, when you look at ultrasonic radio technology too, in terms of how that can transmit payments, where you might not even have to touch your phone to activate this in the long run. You just pull up, you say what you want. I also like it if you start thinking about like I'm on my way home. I've had a bad day. I need a 6-pack. Hey, phone, give me a 6-pack. And then I'm going to pull up and I'm just going to pay for my gas. And who knows, maybe we see a world back where, there's actually attendants outside as opposed to inside in some places, helping facilitate pickup transactions, pumping the gas, especially under COVID. So there's not the contact that we're used to having with the pump itself. Like, I just think it's really cool. And they're, 7-Eleven, they were doing scan and go mobile payments for hospitals about a month ago. Now they're trying voice. Like, these guys just try a ton of stuff. And I just think it's super sweet.
I love it. Yeah. Way to go, 7-Eleven. Keep it interesting.
Keep it going, 7-Eleven 24/7. All right, go for it. And number 2.
All right. Our next story, I actually looked up the pronunciation just because in Minnesota, we used to call this Tanger outlets, but it is actually pronounced Tanger, as in rhymes with hanger, for Steve Hanger, one of the founders of Tanger Outlet Centers.
Really?
So, yeah, look up the video. Steve Tanger's got a sweet runway behind him talking about Tanger outlets. So anyway, let's get to the story.
Good to know.
Yes, Tanger Factory Outlet Centers have launched a virtual shopping concierge service that allows shoppers to shop remotely for their favorite brands. So imagine this new online program. It provides a range of services from specific products to customer styling. And it also, which I think is the coolest part, gives shoppers the ability to access Tanger's entire portfolio. So not just, the Tanger Outlet Center that's you pass on your road trip to Grand Forks, Emma, but whatever Tanger outlet exists in the country, you can shop their entire inventory through this new app. So I love this. I think this is really incredible. It is what I love the most about it, though, is that Tanger has some partnerships with Simon Malls. And I think that if this could work in the outlet center, fingers crossed that this could be something that we might be able to see start to happen in some of the other malls around the country that Simon owns.
100%. 100%. I think it's important too let's talk a little bit, double click into how this works. It's similar to what you talked about with 7-Eleven. It's kind of a hack. Like, basically you're browsing online, you're looking at what even is available, and even that's hard to discern 100%. But then you fill out a virtual form and you just tell what quote unquote is almost like a concierge, hey, this is what I want, right? And then I show up and I pick up that product, I try it out, see if it works for me. It's kind of like a Sam's Club concierge shopping, mashup with what we've talked about in terms of what is a mall-based shopping front end. Maybe people are listening to OmniTalk, who knows? But you're starting to see the merging of those two things happen. And it's cool to see people just saying, hey, what the hell? Let's figure out how to make this work. And I think that's a useful thing. To your point, especially the outlet malls out here, it's kind of a drive too. So if you're going to make that trek, you want to make sure they've got what you want, and hey, get it set up for me, lay it out for me. And that, I think that can work. Emma, what do you think?
I think it's awesome. And you have the combination of, when you look at the Tanger app, you get the coupons for your specific center. So when you can combine, the coupon and the exclusivity, and then just a little bit more tech and service to outlets, which are usually just a physical experience. I think that that's really awesome.
Yeah, I think look out too. I was actually writing this right before we started this. Look out. I think this is a space for Shopify to start playing into. We've talked about all the Shopify partnerships, over the last few months and all the cool things they're doing. They could easily do something similar, where, hey, look at all of our brands that are available at the Mall of America, and hey, you want to check out these? They're not at the mall, but hey, they're available here through our portal. Why don't you come check them out for yourselves through pickup? You can return them all from a consolidated point. There's a lot of mileage that could be driven from something like that, and it keeps it fresh, keeps it exciting. It's just more on the theme of what we've been talking about each and every week. All right, Emma, I know this third story is near and dear to your heart, or at least Anne told me that it was, but I'm curious to hear your take on this.
Emma wrote about it on her blog, The Retail Edit, which everybody should check out. Yes. Emma, what's the URL now for that? retailedit.com?
.com. Yep.
It's amazing. And I love the name. Okay, but let's let you get to your story.
All right. So Snapchat has announced its first shoppable show called The Drop, which is going to sell limited edition streetwear from celebrities and designers. On each episode of The Drop, they'll explore the relationship between the designer and celebrity collaborator, and viewers will learn all about the exclusive product for sale. The product will then go up for sale on Snapchat via a swipe to buy action at an aforementioned time. I think this is so, so cool. Snapchat's audience is huge, especially for people my age. And I think marketers all know that Gen Z is one of the hardest generations to kind of really draw into a brand. So when it's like a seamless combination of a huge social media platform, a new kind of entertaining content, kind of like a live stream sort of presence, and an exclusive commerce appeal. I think that this is just a really cool way to just grab the attention of Gen Z Snapchatters, because literally everyone has it, and then get them to actually buy something through an app that they usually wouldn't buy something through.
So you're big on this. You're big on this. As a proportion for all of the Gen X and baby boomer listeners out there, where is Snapchat, you think, still falling on like percentage usage here? In terms of applications on a mobile phone in a given day for the younger cohort out there.
I mean, I think I read a stat that almost like 90% of Gen Z uses Snapchat.
Uses it at some point.
Yeah, I can't speak for the older generations, but
or how often they're using it. They have it, but how often they're using it. Yeah.
Over 100 million people monthly. That's how many people use Snapchat.
Yeah, it's
90% of people from 13 to 24, which is more than Facebook, Instagram, and Messenger combined, you guys. That's crazy.
That's nuts. Yeah, you forget how big and powerful that is. But so Emma, tell us more. Why do you love this? So you would tune into this on Snapchat? This is something this would be like must-see TV for you, if you're old enough to remember that expression.
I definitely would, because like if you're gonna buy something that's usually streetwear stuff is a little bit more expensive. And I think a lot of people with all the access to the internet that younger people have, they go and watch YouTube videos about like the specs and features of products. But if you can combine like the storytelling with the actual designer or the celebrities, it just gives that added kind of bonus into the experience. Mm-hmm. And I think it'll also just capture lots of people who are on Snapchat, are curious what the show is. And then they see this exclusive product available for like a day. I think that's just going to end up being really successful for them.
Yeah, and it's more along the lines of what we've been talking about, people going after this idea. And I mean, you're far more hip than I am. And by far more, I mean like 6 on a scale of 5. Well,
Thank you.
Or on a scale of 10, and I'm a 5. What do you think?
Well, I think, like Emma said, I mean, the amount of viewers that you already have on Snapchat and that grasp of that audience is undeniable. I mean, more than half of the Gen Z population has watched at least one of these shows on Snap already. And I don't think it stops there. I mean, I think this is just showing us that this is the future. This is how we're going to be shopping. It's going to be a mix of content and publishers turning into retailers and all of these things happening. I mean, it's not just Gen Z. Look at Amazon's Making the Cut with Tim Gunn and Heidi Klum.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that show, the product was sold out. It dropped Friday mornings, and by like minutes after that dropped, and it wasn't just the product, that was the winning product of the show. It was everything in that whole catalog was sold out immediately. So people enjoy shopping like this. It's fun. And so, I'm not surprised at all. And I'm kind of curious when we're going to see Facebook and Instagram honestly start to follow suit here, because they're not doing original content yet in the same format, but they'd be silly not to.
Oh, they're doing it a little bit through influencers too, in terms of them, taking advantage of the content they're putting out in that way, and we'll see. And you've got TikTok hanging out there too, but yeah, what you guys make me think of actually is like there was this catchphrase for probably the last couple of years, and I know one of our loyal listeners will love that I'm about to say this, but like this whole idea of like store as media, and a lot of people have been saying that. And when I hear you guys talk, what I say is like, can we stop saying that? Because that almost feels like a crutch in a lot of way for like why stores exist. I think, Anne, what you're saying is like, no, media is media. And by the way, retail as media, when you think about traditional media and where that content is played and where the eyeballs are, it's not really the growth isn't going to be coming from stores. The growth it might be for some brands, but really in mass for retail, the growth is going to be coming from those new platforms. And you're right, whether it's Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whomever, the battleground is starting to be carved up pretty clearly. I mean, we are routinely talking about this now. And that's why Snapchat enters the equation, because it's the first time we've talked about them in a while, and they're doing something to this effect. So yeah, I think it's an important thing to think about, so that we make sure that we've got the innovation eyes and capital budgets, extended in the right places. More on that to come too in future writing. But all right, story number 4. Who's got that one? I think that's me, right?
I think that's me.
It's you, Ann. Okay.
We're gonna go
I'm closing it out today.
from Snap to Instagram, announcing yesterday that it's expanding access to Instagram shopping for more businesses, and especially, just off of our last story, for creators who want to sell their own merchandise on the platform. So think like musicians or people that are influencers who want to sell merch, if you know what I mean. If you have kids that are trying to buy the merch down below, you'll know what I'm talking about.
What the hell are you talking about? I have no idea.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll go into it.
You'll have to fill me in later. Yeah.
Okay. To enable the expansion, though, the company introduced commerce eligibility requirements, which is basically just a set of guidelines that all the interested businesses must adhere to in order to qualify for Instagram selling. Namely, that this cannot be a storefront, which I'm pretty disappointed to hear. I thought this would kind of open up for this, but you cannot use this as an affiliate program. So you can't be an influencer and put affiliate links on here.
Right. Or a marketplace.
Exactly. So you have to be the retailer who's got the product on.
It could be your own storefront. We should clarify.
Yes, it could be your own storefront. If you have your own product, you just can't sell other people's product on your page. So I think important things to clarify there, but certainly makes sense when you look at what YouTube was doing and what Google was doing. And what I'm referencing is all the influencers pointing to the links down below where you can buy their merch. So I'm surprised doesn't Ryan's Toy Review have that too? Like all these guys that are playing, that the kids that are watching the guys play video games, like they have.
I see what you're saying.
And so now those people have another platform to expand to. They could do this on Instagram. They could do it they can do it on TikTok now too. So,
but the key here too, Ann, right, is it's actually like the way it's been pitched this week is like they're really going after like small vendors too, like craft vendors. Like maybe I sell custom made guitars, or that's my only thing, or custom made recorders. Going back to my days in second grade, like. The Etsy style shops here as well. But you're right. Yeah, it has to all be direct from who's ever making it, right?
Exactly.
Emma, have you been on the Etsy bandwagon? I could see you like dabbling around in that. Has that ever been something you've tried to do?
I sell jewelry on Etsy just because it was the easiest way to do it. But I will say I love this for someone like me, because in order to get people to find your Etsy, you have to make an Instagram page. And then it just is so much easier if you can just buy someone's product off of Instagram and not get redirected to Etsy and all of that. But I do love Etsy. I love everything it stands for in terms of if you really want handmade stuff, Etsy was the best place to get it. But yeah, I think the Instagram shopping opens up so many possibilities for people who really have only sold on Etsy so far.
Well, and allows the product to be discovered, Emma, not just like an Etsy. You have to go and type in a search for a specific, something with a bird on it,
Yeah, definitely.
Referencing Portlandia, if anybody wants.
Yeah, right. I guess great reference. Yeah, no, yeah. I think it's super cool that way. I mean, if anyone's listening too, the curious thing to me is this seems to me like it could be a pretty bad thing for Etsy in a lot of ways, but I guess it depends on how the two systems will interact with each other and whatnot. But yeah, if anyone has any thoughts on that's listening, drop us a line. We'd love to hear about it. And also if you're watching on video, pretty fun look we've got here going, taping at night too with the outdoor lighting here. Emma's fading to black as we go throughout this episode. So it's pretty amazing. Oh, the things that COVID will do. I should write a Dr. Seuss novel. All right, well, I think I am the bookends on this show, so I will hit story number 5. And I think story number 5 it's really interesting. And Ann and I talked a lot about this through the course of the week, so I'm curious to hear what we all think right now, and curious to hear what your feedback is too. But the interesting story here is that, coronavirus, and this was the headline in the Wall Street Journal, coronavirus changed everything except TJ Maxx. And so it's been interesting to watch how TJ Maxx has responded across all of its portfolio of brands to, what's been happening out there with the pandemic. It even stopped at one point, according to the Wall Street Journal, taking online orders during the lockdown, and still is even limiting the number of items for sale on its website. Now, it's still hard to read the numbers. I've been following this segment pretty closely with the Placer AI tracker. Traffic has still been down, but it's still a question of how many stores are open. According to Wall Street Journal, only 85% of TJX's stores have reopened. And the CEO thinks there is going to be a pretty big surge as things start to open, that people are just kind of waiting in the wings to start spending money. And so he said, quote unquote, strategically, nothing will change for us. I don't know what to make of this. I think I've said before on other shows, I'm like 50-50 on it. God, what do you guys think here? Is this guy nuts? Is he smarter than everyone else? Like, what's happening? In the dark, Emma.
I think, like, my gut tells me it's just a mistake, and that, like, they need some kind of e-commerce presence. Like, you just have to. Like, I don't want to go to a store, but I mean, I'll go into a TJ Maxx in my past life and like walk in there. Like, it just really feels like a mistake down there.
Yeah, you think so? You think you got to do something. Yeah, like the be the ostrich, bury your head in the sand. Just over time, just doesn't work anymore. And what do you think? Are you in that camp or not?
No,
I wasn't with Burlington like 6 months ago or whenever the hell that was. So I don't.
You guys, TJ Maxx is the drop that we just talked about on Snap. It's the drop for suburban moms everywhere. Like,
yeah.
This is their drop. This is like an actual pallet drop of product that they get to see that's new and different every time. So I think for the short term, even like the next 10 to 15 years, I don't see this going away. I do believe that people are going to still want to go and have this treasure hunt. People love a deal. Now, what I do think is that they have to invest in some forms of technology. And if I were them, I would start to be seriously looking at things like scan and go technology, or how do you make the shopping experience simpler once you get in there? And I think that over the course of time, as like RFID becomes a constant that's put into apparel and other items, like there will be simpler ways for them. Yes, exactly. Will be simpler ways for them to enable that kind of technology. But I don't know that, I don't know that e-commerce makes a ton of sense. I guess I don't really blame them. I think, again, like somebody kind of going against the grain here this week and doing their own thing, paving their own way. They're making this choice to focus right now on what's going to bring them the most amount of revenue the most quickly. And so, it is laser focused on just the stores and not, what's going to happen down the road. But I don't know that you can fault them for that right now. Now they're going to be in some serious problem areas if we get shut down again and they can't sell anything. That's definitely something that you have to think about. But I don't know. I mean, stores are opening back up. People are in there shopping. It's kind of like how do you kind of make a plan to handle all these scenarios, I guess.
So net, you're okay with it. Yeah, I don't know. I still feel like I'm more on the, like, you should be doing something. Like, I feel like we just talked about Tanger. Thank you for the pronunciation. Like, sure. Tanger's doing this thing, which isn't that dissimilar than what we're talking about here. Like, you could easily try to get a web presence up and, have people doing something to that degree. And who's to say somebody's not going to blow that business model out more in the future and try to do it more overtly, on a more regular basis. You've still got the point of COVID, like you said, of like, is this thing going to snap back? I still am kind of leaning towards that, you're not going to you might get back to normal for a period of time across a few states, but it's going to be tough to maintain that. And then what other business models are out there? I mean, I was looking at, there's Otrium, I think, if I'm saying that right, $26 million in funding recently, where basically they're the outlet clearinghouse for fashion. So there's online business models that are trying to figure out what the UX is for this. It's always been difficult to do online, but it's coming. And so I would definitely have an eye out there in terms of what's going on and who could disrupt me, and be paying really close attention to them if I'm just basically like saying I'm going to conserve cash and not do any experimentation myself, because God knows you might need to look at them a little harder and maybe you can put that cash to use down the line. But I don't know, like, and maybe it's just disinformation. Maybe it's just, hey, we're not doing anything, but behind the scenes they are taking that approach. It's hard to know, but yeah, it just doesn't seem like the best of moves for me right now, given everything that's happening. Now's the time to be experimenting, not to retrench. I don't know. Any final words on that, you guys?
I don't know. Not that I mean, I don't think that there's much more to add there, but we'll have to wait and see what, a lot of it depends, I think, like we said, on what happens with the virus and what people are able to go out and do. Because I do think that there's some value in, yes, I mean, you have the individual retailers who are probably figuring out ways to hold on to their inventory longer and figure out ways to sell it through, those other channels. But there is still something nice about, I know I need a dress and now I have all of these brands and I kind of don't know what I'm going to find, but I know that I'm going to get a good deal on it instead of having to search each retailer independently. That I think is still an appeal for a lot of people.
Yeah. And you made me think of something too there, Ann. I think implicitly in what you said at the very beginning was, like, the other thing is, like, we are such a, like, what's happened lately culture now, and especially in the media, especially around this virus. And so, like, while this surge is coming, regardless while the reopening is coming, I said that incorrectly, while the reopening is coming, like, regardless of whether you think there'll be like a second wave of the virus or whatever, what we don't know is until there's, a treatment or inoculation or whatever it is, we don't know what the actual natural level of shopping is going to be. So, like, that's the other, like, thing out there. Like, the first 2 months could be great, but then we could just be looking at, like, down 5, down 10, ongoing, just because there are some people that are fearful. And that's just, really, really hard to understand, which is why I think you're seeing what you're seeing with Macy's too. So.
Yeah. Well, especially right now too. I mean, we have this unique position that we're in with the financial crisis that we're experiencing, where people still have money right now.
Yeah.
Like, well, they still have money right now, technically, but
or are being helped still.
Exactly. But once unemployment runs out, will they still have the money, and will they still want the hunt of a TJ Maxx or Home Goods trip?
Yeah. And I was talking to somebody too, like, you can literally see the correlations between the stimulus money and some of the volume that's been done in retail. Like, I was talking to somebody that looks at that kind of thing a lot, and that you're definitely seeing out there as well. And I think they're going to be once we get that report, we can talk about it more, but pretty interesting stuff. All right. What do you got? Big plans this weekend, you guys? And Emma, when are you coming back? What's going on? Are you coming back?
That's a good question.
Is the sun just setting in Michigan permanently? Like, what's happening?
I wish. It's so beautiful here. We have to come back to Minneapolis to grab a few things, but I think we're going to head back to New York. We were invited to go down to a beach in Delaware with some family. So I think I'm just going to be on the road the whole summer.
Living the life, Emma. Good for you.
Might as well.
And
what do you have going this weekend? Anything?
I am going to be playing a lot of backyard baseball, Chris. Throwing the old ball around.
Yeah, you got the old mitt. Is it you oiled up and ready to go?
Oh yeah, we are good to go.
Nice, very good, very good. Wow,
what are you guys up to?
I would actually pay to see that. So send me a video of that. That would be fun to watch. I don't know.
Absolutely
no plans.
Not.
No plans. I got the kids going in. I've got a lot of soccer going on in the backyard. Probably why I'm wearing the
clearly Royal Tenenbaums
tracksuit today for those watching on video. But yeah, no, just hanging with the kids, hanging with Mrs. OmniTalk. Probably talking to her more about the dog she's planning to get, because I'm so enthusiastic.
That you are getting. This is a we statement we're using.
No,
now.
and like most things in life, I'm just along for the ride. But anyway, on that note.
And can OmniTalk listeners submit all other name options for the Bernie Poo? What's it called? Birdie Poo?
Bernie Doodle, not Bernie.
Bernie Doodle. Sorry.
Bernie Poo is something that Dog Play does later. Yeah, no, actually, OmniTalk listeners, sure, send us names of the dog. We'll figure out something nice. If we pick one, we'll do something nice for it. If you pick a great name for a dog, something retail related, of course, would be really funny. I feel like I could make that work potentially, given that I've caved into the dog. But hey, thanks for listening to us. Got a little funky tonight. It's nighttime when we're recording, so you always get a little bit weird. We appreciate you sticking with us. If you haven't yet, make sure to like, review, and subscribe to our podcast. And make sure to listen to our podcast and our videos wherever you listen to your podcast and videos. And as always, be careful out there.